Walking in the woods has become an increasingly rare pleasure for Audrey, an anti-hunting activist.
I stay at home on weekends. I can hear gunshots from my house, so it prevents me from going out.
Her fears have been amplified since the death of Morgan Keane in December 2020, pushing her to take action.
Morgan was killed while he was chopping wood in his garden. The hunter mistook him for a wild boar. We kept seeing in the press that all safety rules had been respected on that day. So to us, if this were the case, then there must be a problem with the rules.
After the tragedy, she and 3 of Morgan's friends launched an online petition demanding hunting be banned on Wednesdays and Sundays. The petition was reviewed by the Senate, but failed to get the support of the French government.
A non-hunting day wouldn't have an effect on the number of accidents. Why? Simply because the number of accidents is related to the number of bullets fired. If there is no hunting on Sundays, there'll be twice as many accidents on Saturdays.
The implementation of a hunting ban on Sundays would also have a significant economic impact. Hunting in France is worth €2 billion. Numerous measures have been adopted to better regulate hunting. They include limits on alcohol consumption, stricter sanctions in case of accidents, and the introduction of a national online app.
You unload your firearm when walkers are about.
Damien and his hunting group already use an app, but doubts it can be made mandatory.
Some hunters are quite elderly, so I think it will be complicated for them to install the app.
The app allows hunters to identify a hunting perimeter so that walkers can avoid the area. Last year's hunting season saw 8 people lose their lives in accidents.
Information for all hunters: a walker has been spotted.
However, for anti-hunting activists, such an app puts pressure on walkers who have to monitor their own security despite not being a danger themselves. Also at the heart of this matter, biodiversity, something which has been sidelined by the French government's action plan.
Let's observe the ground and try to identify some game prints.
According to the government, the overpopulation of wild animals represents a threat to wildlife, plants and human activity. Every year, around €100 million are spent as a result of the damage caused by wild animals. Hunting is considered to be the only viable and long-term solution in order to regulate the animal population.
Our role is not to kill off animal populations. On the contrary, it's to maintain a balance. We're attentive all year round to how they're evolving.
For Elise, hunting is not just a hobby, but a way of life. The 34-year-old insists that hunting groups are authorized by the state and involved in the protection of nature. Today, a young deer was killed. It's tagged and registered as the species is subject to quotas. The animal is weighed and butchered and then put into cold storage. It will be eaten later.
We're not going to kill an animal just to throw it away. That, for me, isn't right. I see our way of killing as a responsible act. I kill the animal to eat it. I'd rather do that than go and buy meat from I don't know where.
Far from wild hills, cages stretch as far as the eye can see. These images, obtained by anti-hunting activists, show game crammed inside. Some birds have their beaks forced shut, and others are dead. The animals are bred for hunting. Pierre Rigaud says a third of the 22 million animals killed in France are raised this way.
Game farming is modelled on industrial poultry farming. Once the animals are in the wild, they are completely lost because they don't know how to find food. They're less resistant to disease and can't cope with bad weather. Most, in fact, don't even survive to be killed by hunters.
Animal rights groups also condemn certain hunting techniques, which they see as cruel, such as hunting with hounds. The tradition of hunting on horseback with dogs dates back to the 16th century. Hunters chase down the animal to exhaustion before killing it, traditionally with a sword or spear. A collective campaigns to ban the practice.
Our job is to anticipate, to stand at the entrance to the town, to warn residents and to be able to film if hunters cross a line or engage in illegal behaviour.
While the hunters track the animals, the activists track the hunters. Between the two parties, dialogue is impossible.
Qu'est-ce qu'il y a échangé avec des gens qui sont là dans la lutte des classes et pas du tout les animaux. Alors, ils savent même pas ce que c'est qu'un cerf.
The hunters defend their practice and say they are upholding a French tradition. No deer was killed on this outing, but for the activists, the damage is done.
Even if the deer got away, it is now exhausted. It's going to take them days to recover after being chased by these people.
In France, the state authorises the hunting of 89 species, a record high in Europe. They are not all overpopulated, and some are even threatened with extinction.